Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome Diana Westley back to the podcast for I don't know how many times you've been on, but I'm so excited to do another podcast with you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much for having me back on. I always love getting to connect with you. There's so much beautiful energy that flows between us on these episodes. So I am so happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here. And for those of you who are listening for the first time to a podcast with me and Diana, Diana is an evolutionary astrologer and just teacher and guide, and we've co-created a lot together. We're very close friends, and we're so excited to do the astrology and energy forecast for 2026. So yeah, I'm really excited to listen to you, Diana. And we said that we can start with grounding together, and I'm shuffling my healing oracle card deck now in the beginning of the podcast. If you're watching this, you can see the cards. Otherwise, you can, if you're listening to the podcast, you can see the cards on YouTube as well on Love Positivism. But I'm gonna draw some cards. So these cards are healing cards, and it would be great for us all to have some intentions and affirmations for the upcoming year, what to focus on. I'm thinking that I will draw 3 cards before we move into the astrology. And yeah, we've had, I don't know how everyone's year has been, but it's been quite a lot of shifts, changes, intense energies, and a lot of initiations, I think. So I'm just gonna put these 3 cards out for us to see what is coming up and what we can focus on. So I drew 3 cards, and the first 2 cards are focused actually on the physical body and healing and grounding into the body. And the last card is actually one of the last cards in the deck, which is connected to our soul and higher self and spiritual healing. So I'll start with the first one, which this is one of my favorite cards in my deck. And the symbols of the rose and the heart, or the rose is connected to the heart, and the eye of the heart, you can see in the image. And this national bird of Kurdistan is on there, and hummingbird. And the card says, I let the healing energy of my heart heal my body from any discomforts. So this card is about connecting to the healing power of our own hearts. And for those who can't see it here in the image, it's also whales, and it's actually an ocean. It's so beautiful. The cards are made by Lori Menna from Cosmic Collage, and she makes it so beautiful. But it's kind of the waters of our heart and the seeing and understanding from our heart space, and letting that heart energy, which the card is green, and the heart chakra is also green. And yeah, it's the power of healing through your own heart. And in Reiki healing, we always use the hands if we're not doing distance healing, and the palms. And the arms are also connecting back to the heart and the hands. So I think that's a beautiful reminder. And to connect with the heart can also be done through devotional practice. I think bhakti and devotional practice to whatever you feel connected to can help that. And then this is also about self-healing, that you have the power to heal yourself. And this card says, my body knows how to self-heal. And the card is this woman sitting on top of the earth. So she's definitely grounding down, seated in the easy posture of meditation. and she's surrounded by green leaves, and on top of her, with the lotus coming through her head and crown, and then above it, it's also angels, like angelic wings. And it feels like this card helps us bridge between the earth and heaven, because the crown is opening, but she's very grounded on the world, and it's card number 9, so it feels like completing a cycle as well. So my body knows how to self-heal. And then you have these flowers that are also medicine flowers, healing flowers, that you might recognize. And then the last card is a really special card, and I actually pulled it out today as well, and it's I am one with the infinite consciousness. And this bird is merging 2 different birds. The artist made it from 2 different birds, and it's rising up towards the sun and our highest consciousness. And then we have the Kurdish sun symbol there, which it's such a it connects, it's the infinite consciousness connects with our higher consciousness and with our also lower consciousness. So it feels like a very heart, but grounded, and then opening up to that infinite source. And when we know that oneness, when we can experience it, we don't feel separate anymore, and we can for a while come out of the illusion of separateness and this material world. So that's the cards, and for those of you who want to see them there, you can watch this on YouTube as well, just to see the symbolisms and the colors. It does a lot. I can just show them again, just to have the rose is very powerful to connect with the heart as well. So they have different nature symbols. So Diana, what do you think? What comes through for you when seeing these?
Wow, that is really powerful and really fitting actually for what's going on astrologically right now. And as we move into 2026, there's a lot of kind of transitional energies that are at play right now, not only with this epic year of kind of this 9 energy coming to the conclusion of things, numerologically speaking, but astrologically, the outer planets, so the slower moving planets, the ones that take longer to orbit the sun, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, are all making this shift. Pluto's already there, but the rest of them are all making this shift from the yin signs of the zodiac, water and earth, into the air signs, which are the masculine signs, the yang signs, which are air and fire. And so as we're making this shift, there is this need to reground, to heal our bodies, to come back to ourselves, to come back to what we truly value, to come back to what really matters to us. These are all of kind of the more yin energies. This is the inner work, the self-reflective work, the self-healing work, before we prepare to take action and really start to move forward and again activate based off of the things that really matter to us, the things that again really are truly aligned with us and our core values and who we truly are. The energies surrounding the body in particular feel very relevant and pertinent with Uranus rounding out its time in Taurus right now. And Taurus energy is the energy of the earth, of our bodies, of, us coming into physical, tangible manifestation. And there's also this energy with Taurus of remembering that heaven exists within each of us, that Earth is our home among the heavens. So we are actually part of the heavens, even if it feels like it's out there, it's actually here on Earth as well. Earth is just one of the planets in the heavens, in the solar system. And so there's this kind of reclamation of the Earth as sacred, as divine, as part of heaven when we're working with this Taurus energy, as well as this remembrance that our bodies are not separate from our spirits, are not separate from the sacred, the divine, are not separate from our souls. All of it is one. The body may be temporary, as all things on earth are, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a sacred and deeply spiritual nature to existing in these bodies, to being part of this earth and this planet. And actually, Chiron, which is our wounded healer of the zodiac, or sorry, not of the zodiac, but in astrology, Chiron is entering Taurus next year, and it'll only dip into Taurus for a short time from June 20th to September 18th. But this is, again, the beginning of a really big era of healing when it comes to our bodies, when it comes to, again, this planet and all of its inhabitants, healing the rift that's existed between spirit and matter, and allowing ourselves to really come into greater alignment among all of the things that make us who we are, including our material experience, and so on. So again, there's a very big push and energetic kind of encouragement for finding some sort of new bridge, or even just a remembered integration between, again, the world of matter, our bodies, our earth, and the realm or the energies of spirit. So lots more to share there, but those cards were just so perfectly aligned for some of the really big energies that are underway right now.
Yeah, thank you. It is really connecting everything together. And I'm just thinking about this. I remember when Uranus went into Taurus, there was a lot happening before that. And it's been throughout these years, it's been like an establishment of Venus and the divine feminine, because it started kind of around that time, right? All this movement. And it was really, now it feels grounded in a different way, because we've had so many different strings from that. I think that's really interesting, and that we're embodying that. It's not something that is just in our mind, it's grounded. And then Chiron in Taurus would be interesting. So we can say that could be something that is healing the divine feminine wound as well, right? Since it's connected to Venus. So yeah, there's a lot going on. How do you wanna, how is the best way to go through the astrology of next year? Or if for those who are listening in 2026, but how can we move through the major events?
Yeah, so what you said about healing the divine feminine actually kind of brings up some of what I feel like are overarching themes for the year ahead. And then we can kind of go into some of the really significant events. To cover everything important in 2026 would take way too many hours. And you'd probably start to get tired and need to tune out after a while. So we'll cover the really big things. And then if people have questions, you can drop them in the podcast comments, or when Sharon shares this, on social media and elsewhere, you can comment there, and we'll do our best to answer those questions. But one of the biggest themes that I feel like is actually coming up this next year is kind of healing and exploring what it means to experience the healed masculine. And so I feel like when we've been working with all of these yin, earth and water sign energies, there's been a really big emphasis on kind of healing and recognizing the wounds surrounding the feminine. And now I think there's an opportunity to start to explore what the major wounds are surrounding the masculine and start to kind of heal those and look for positive examples of what the healed masculine can look like. And again, when I talk about this, I'm talking about it as a polarity. This is, the feminine, the yin, the masculine, the yang. I'm talking about it as elements, earth and water, air and fire. These things are part of all of us. And in order to feel whole and to feel healed, and no matter our gender identity or anything else, we really need to be able to recognize kind of the positive, the good in both ends of this polarity, and maybe even to stop seeing it so much as a polarity, because maybe there's a new way of kind of re-envisioning and reimagining the masculine and feminine energies so that they're more of a natural flow, a natural medley, a natural kind of cycle, like, breathing in and out. We don't think of out breaths and in breaths as a polarity. And yet we've kind of polarized the masculine and feminine within us, even though it could be as natural as breathing. And so I think that that's one of the really big calls of next year, with Uranus moving into Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. We have this air energy, which really invites in new ideas, new stories, new visions. And then with Saturn and Neptune moving into fire, the energy is all around trailblazing, things that are radically new with this Aries energy. Even Jupiter will move into Leo next year. Again, fire kind of burns down the old so that the new can be born. From the ashes, something new and powerful rises. And so the way that I kind of see these energies coming together, these outer planets, which tend to be kind of consciousness shifting, archetypal in nature, is that maybe some new spiritual Neptune stories, Uranus and Gemini, are now called for. And maybe it's an opportunity to release some of the old kind of mythological, spiritual, religious, archetypal stories that surround the masculine and the feminine, maybe to reawaken some of the ones that have been buried in our collective unconscious that need to maybe be revisited to understand how different cultures over time have worked with these two energies, these two currently polarities. And I think there's a really powerful and beautiful opportunity, again, to continue to heal the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine, and bring more kind of empowered energies in, so that, again, we're looking at these two energies as breathing in and breathing out as the waves rolling over on the shore, versus feeling this need to be bouncing really intensely back and forth between these two parts of ourselves, between these two parts of everything. And so that feels like a really, really big energetic theme for the year ahead, is how can we restore balance and really integration in a marriage between these two energies. All of that said, we have 3 Mercury retrogrades next year, all in water signs. And so water is the energy of our emotions, our emotional bodies, our emotional memories. And so this feels like a really big and powerful opportunity to kind of revisit some of the emotional and emotionally charged stories and narratives that have been at play, again, surrounding the masculine and feminine in particular, so that we can free and release some of those emotions, and again, invite in new stories that are more rooted in love of both the masculine and feminine, in the union and the togetherness of these two energies, and so on. And for folks who are curious, the dates of those Mercury retrogrades are, I had them, it'll be, oh, there we go. February 25th through March 20th, and that's in Pisces, between 8 and 22 degrees of Pisces. Then we'll have another Mercury retrograde June 29th through July 23rd in Cancer. That'll be between 16 and 26 degrees Cancer. And then the final one of the year will be in Scorpio from October 24th to November 13th, between 5 and 20 degrees of Scorpio. So again, lots of water energy supporting the catharsis, the emotional healing and release of some of the things that we've been carrying as we're starting to move forward into new energies, new possibilities, new potentials. We're going to be continuing to clear. And a lot of that clearing is going to be through emotions. As we talk about the wounded masculine, the inability to access and feel emotions is a big part of working with the wounded masculine. And so some of these Mercury retrogrades might also be supporting kind of the reintegration of our emotions into our experience of the masculine, recognizing how our emotions both kind of have hindered us when we've repressed them and neglected us, but also how they can really support us, how our intuition as well, another water word, can really support us in our more masculine energy and masculine endeavors. So anyways, lots of really interesting energies at play next year, especially around this polarity. And I can dive more into specific events. I think many people have probably heard there's this big conjunction, this big coming together of Saturn and Neptune next February. I'll speak to that and some of the other big events. But this just feels like one of the big overarching themes that we can play with and be working with next year. I'll pause there, and I'd love to hear your reflections on that, Chiron, because I wouldn't be surprised if you've also been feeling this energy.
Yeah, I think that's it's a very clear theme. I think I find it very interesting that the mind and Mercury, the yang, that airy energy moves into water and stirs up things. And I love that this theme has also come up. I like that we're talking about a rebalancing, because I've sensed it this year, but got some hints of how that will happen. And for myself, in my own sadhana and spiritual practice, I've set that intention to also balance in my devotional work with the divine masculine. I just felt called right now to draw another card just around these things that you've spoken about. And funny that we just spoke about the emotions and intuitions. The card that came up now is I liberate myself from emotions that don't serve me. And the 5 elements, we're talking about the elements, it's the Chinese medicine pentagram, with how the elements nurture but can also almost destroy each other, and they can also feed each other. So it's like creating a balance. If we're balancing polar opposites, actually today I saw this beautiful image of, let me see, it's called, it's so beautiful if people want to see. And this is, I mean, if you talk about alchemy, that's also the sacred or the divine marriage and all of that. And then we have Ardhanarishvara. It's the mix of Shiva and Parvati. It's like that complete divine feminine and masculine, like half feminine, half masculine. It's a really beautiful image. It came up actually for me many times today. and that feels like a healed and perfectly balanced. For example, as we see next year, how things will be shifting, and also shifting between yin and yang, like from yin into yang. Yeah, no, I love that.
And it's interesting because the final Mercury retrograde of next year in Scorpio actually coincides with a Venus retrograde in Scorpio and Libra. That'll be between 22 degrees Libra and 8 degrees Scorpio next October 3rd to November 13th. So again, Mercury and Venus both stationed direct on November 13th. So it feels like, when I think about Scorpio, I have Venus and Scorpio natally. Scorpio Venus definitely can find kind of the beautiful balance between the masculine and feminine, because Scorpio is historically traditionally ruled by Mars, and then Venus and Mars kind of tend to represent like the masculine and the feminine, Venus the feminine, Mars the masculine, but at the same time that Venus and Scorpio energy can carry a lot of rage, like a lot of hurt, a lot of rage, a lot of woundedness surrounding kind of the relationship with the other. And so I wouldn't be surprised if the feminine experience of the masculine and some of the rage and the anger and the hurt and the woundedness that's been carried around, kind of maybe more toxic expressions of the masculine, if that is going to be coming up in a really big way come end of next year in order to be healed and released, because we can't really move into this space of togetherness and of love and of honoring both of these energies within ourselves and within the world and the collective and within nature and all the rest of it, if we're holding too much rage. And so anyways, it feels like if we're still doing a lot of work around these energies come next, October, November, there will be a really powerful and beautiful opportunity, kind of this Kali opportunity, to really heal, feel the rage, feel the wounds, feel the anger, and start to move past that and maybe even laugh at it. Kind of start to see where we've gotten so caught in these limited mindsets and perspectives that it's almost it's almost comical, right? Like it's the only way out of it is to laugh, is for some like hysterical release of the energies that have been weighing us down and kind of weighing heavy on our hearts and whatnot. And so it feels like there's a really big opportunity for something to shift throughout the year, but especially by that Venus retrograde coinciding with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, while the sun is also entering Scorpio. So yes, that Kali energy, that beautiful kind of blending of the two, the masculine and the feminine, while also needing to release the things that are kind of standing in our way. And speaking of which, Lilith is also going to be making her moves next year. She'll be in Sagittarius for most of the year. And then she'll move into Capricorn toward the end of the year. So she'll go all the way through the sign Sagittarius, where she is now, and then through the first 12 degrees of Capricorn before year end. And that feels like, especially while she's in Sagittarius, a really powerful time to challenge old beliefs and spiritualities that have seen certain people, let's say women in particular, or the feminine kind of more broadly speaking in particular, as evil or impure, or otherwise less than, unequal. Lilith does not like being seen as unequal. She does not want us to accept inequality, and kind of ask us to reclaim religions, beliefs, whatever whatever it may be, that honor our innate equality and really celebrate that and bring that to the forefront. So she's very much like time to burn through and release with all of the fire energy these old beliefs that really aren't sustaining or supporting us, that aren't helping anyone, men, women, people of any ethnic or socioeconomic group. When we're unequal or try to keep certain groups or peoples or energies even in a space of inequality, it manifests in its shadow in a really negative and non-supportive way. And then as she enters Capricorn, it really feels like she's going to be like, okay, down with the toxic patterns of the patriarchy. It's time to release those old structures so we can build some new ones. So again, when you brought up kind of some of this beautiful balance that the Kali energy represents, like there's also a need to burn and clear and release some old things, even toxic, let's say like feminism, right? Anything that has engendered separation, rage, that has made it really difficult for us to integrate these energies, the masculine and feminine within ourselves, all of those things that have become kind of a legacy in our culture, that have become kind of the foundation for certain beliefs that we hold. All of that is ready for change. So yeah, very, very interesting and exciting energies there. Again, I'll pause. I want to hear any further reflections you have on that before I get into the astrology, the nitty-gritty of the last couple of things that feel really big and exciting and epic next year.
Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. Such a interesting. And the card that came up was all about that you can, all emotions are important, but when something sticks too long, it affects our organs, our health, our soul. There should be a constant flow. That's why everything around us is changing, so that we can also change with it. I think it's interesting also with Lilith from that Scorpio place, where I think we've felt it, and then into Sagittarius and that fiery outward, and then coming in and grounding again. I love that. It feels like it's gonna ground down some of since the fierce feminine has been necessary, but like you said, also creating that balance and coming into like action and manifestation. And earth is very soothing, because when we're talking about the elements also in Chinese medicine, earth takes away our worries and things that we rehash in our minds, like being worried in a way, which doesn't help us to grow because it breaks down. It doesn't help us to take in nourishment. So I think that's going to be, and then, fire is always related to joy in Chinese medicine, but too much joy or too much fire also affects the soul's ability to rest in to itself. So I'm excited to listen to the other things that you have you're gonna share now.
I love that you brought up that fire is linked to joy, because I think we all actually really need some of that right now. Like we really need some laughter. We're all kind of in a space of needing to bounce back from some of the challenges and the difficulties that we've been undergoing as we've been transforming and going through this kind of epic metamorphosis. And Saturn and Neptune coming into Aries and coming together at that first degree, the 0th degree of Aries on February 20th, feels like a really beautiful time for some joyous celebration, some kind of inviting in of positive new energies. And with Saturn, we're looking at the energy of kind of structure. With Neptune, marrying spirituality, creating structure around our spirituality, maybe new structures, again, building a new spirituality for ourselves, something that really sustains us and everyone going forward. We're looking at Neptune, the energy of dreams, marrying Saturn, the energy of manifestation, the ability to take these visions, these dreams of something really big and new, that Aries energy, something that maybe feels really scary, and being willing to go for it and do it anyways. Again, Neptune representing these beautiful future visions that are very loving and rooted in compassion, married with Saturn, the fortitude and focus needed to bring those visions to fruition. And again, with Aries energy, just saying, here's some added inspiration, here's some added passion, here's some spirit, like an energy of pure, unadulterated spirit to really support the process of beginning things and being willing to charge wholeheartedly into things that scare us. When I think about this energy happening at Aries too, the beauty of Aries is that it's not afraid to fail. And so this basically says it's a spiritual quest to try and fail. It's okay to try things and have them not work out and try again. And Saturn gives us the energy to continue to come back stronger from any failures, from any challenges that we may encounter. But as long as we hold the vision and we keep moving in the direction of the thing that sets our souls on fire, the thing that feels really destiny charged for us, we're headed in the right direction, no matter how that manifests in the material realm. Saturn there definitely suggests that we have the ability to build something that's lasting, that will, create the structure and foundation for future generations. This is a generation building energy. And with Neptune there, this is something that's rooted in the most beautiful and pure of dreams. So especially with all of these energies that are moving into Aries, just leaving Pisces, which is so compassionate, so spiritually centered, there is this very beautiful rebirth, very beautiful birth of positive and exciting new things that are ready to happen with this Saturn-Neptune conjunction. And again, Aries really gives us that ability to take risks. It gives us the ability to, confront fears and not see them as our enemies, but as our allies. If we're scared of something, but we want to do it anyways, Aries says, ooh, that's a really good sign that we should do it, that we should go for it, because Aries is here to overcome fear. So anyways, this is all kind of part of this big Saturn-Neptune conjunction that's coming up. Everybody has it happening in a specific house in their birth chart, so a specific area of life. It's going to be kind of activating different parts of different people's birth charts. Quite a few folks who were born in the mid to late 80s will actually have Neptune squaring their natal Neptune in Capricorn during this conjunction. But other age groups, other kind of generations of people are going to have this activating really big parts of their birth charts too. And so anyways, with the Neptune square, for those folks that I just mentioned, born in kind of like the mid to late 80s, this means it's an even more powerful and exciting time to take those Neptune in Capricorn, those dreams of leaving some sort of spiritual and soul-fed and soul-centered legacy, and use the Aries energy to overcome the fears, to overcome the inertia, the fears of instability that may creep up for that Neptune and Capricorn generation, and to really go after the things that they want to go after, to create the things they want to create, to build the legacies that they want to build. But again, everybody is going to be experiencing this in their own unique and very soul-centered, very again, destiny-driven way. And so if you're familiar with the birth chart, you can just look for what house, what little segment of the chart that 0th degree, that very beginning of Aries falls in. And that'll tell you a bit more about the area of life to really focus into as you're, again, marrying spirituality with structure, dreams with the ability to manifest them, and where like a really big new beginning is ready to be born for you. So anyways, Chiron is actually going to come on my podcast next year. We're going to go really deep into the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, and she'll offer kind of like a lot of energetic reading and everything around that. But that's just kind of a high level preview. It's a really exciting time, and it's actually happening during eclipse season too. There's going to be a solar eclipse on February 17th in Aquarius, right before we have this very exciting Saturn-Neptune conjunction. So the energy is going to be primed for rapid change, for, again, kind of these big visions, that Aquarian energy to start to come to fruition, to marry the dreams with the structure and so on. So get excited and make sure in February you're giving yourself some space and time to really integrate the things that are going to be coming through, because I get the sense that's going to be a moment with many, many downloads. So that's kind of the first big thing that's happening in 2026. Chiron, did you want to share anything about that?
No, you can go ahead. I'm just listening in. It's really exciting. Yeah.
Good. And Aries wants us to be excited. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Uranus is rounding out this Taurus cycle on April 26th. And it's been in Taurus for, just around 7 years. That's about how long it takes Uranus to move through a sign of the zodiac. And then it's going to spend the rest of 2026 moving through the first 5 degrees of Gemini, moving forward and then retrograding and then moving forward, as the outer planets tend to do over the course of a year. During that time, it's also going to be forming an ongoing conjunction, so kind of coming together with dwarf planet Sedna, who's the most distant, farthest known dwarf planet in our solar system. So she kind of represents this bridge between the known and the unknown, between our current level of consciousness and the next level of consciousness that we're all getting ready for. And so again, this is a very, very exciting time, especially because Uranus is going to be forming a supportive trine aspect with Pluto in Aquarius, and a sextile, a very stimulating and energizing aspect with Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries for much of the year. So all of these outer planets are coming together in this very harmonious dance next year. Again, inviting in a lot of change, lots of new beginnings, a lot of new exciting energy, and a lot of lightness. Again, air and fire signs kind of are a lighter energy. There's less inertia. Things happen more quickly. Change happens more quickly with fire and air. So if you've been feeling like you're ready for change and it just has felt like it hasn't come, you can kind of get this vision of what you want, but things just haven't started to mobilize or move forward. Get ready, buckle up, because 2026 is definitely an energy of change. That said, things may change so quickly on the mental level, and on the kind of intangible level, that it's hard for the physical level to kind of keep up. So this is kind of like the word of caution, I suppose, is that we still live on planet Earth with tangible or limited tangible resources at the end of the day. And we need to honor kind of the natural limits of what it is to be human. We have limited energy. Our bodies still need rest. Our bodies still need, moments of stillness and ease and peace, even if our minds are really saying, ooh, we could be doing more, we could be achieving more. Oh, there's all of this change. Our bodies say, and yes, there is this physical limit, and it's not a bad thing. Sometimes having to slow down actually make sure that we're running in the right direction. It really helps us confirm that we're still aligned with our values, with what matters to us. And it also encourages us to come together with others when we realize we do have limits. Energetic limits, physical limits, resource limits. And when we come together with others, that's where the real magic happens, especially with so much air energy, Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus entering Gemini, togetherness, getting ideas from other people, leaning into new perspectives, being surprised by the new perspectives and ideas and storylines that others have to share. All of this is a really important and key and core part of working with this era defining air energy. And so again, it's a powerful time to kind of, ask questions, to allow our curiosity to catalyze change in our lives. It's also a time of embracing the courage to share new and different narratives with the world. So even if it feels like people aren't quite ready to hear a new idea, a new perspective, a new viewpoint. Aries energy, kind of that sextile from Saturn and Neptune and Aries to Uranus and Gemini, says, hey, it's time to be brave. It's time to be bold. And even if other people don't like it, that's okay. You've got to try. You've got to try the new ideas, put them out there, see if they stick. And so anyways, this is a big part of the energy of next year. Embrace the limits of what it is to be in a physical body on planet Earth. There's beauty to those limits, while also allowing ourselves to start transcending some of the limits with the ideas that we hold and the ways that we're thinking about, the future and the future directions of, humanity and how we can better coexist with one another, better coexist with this planet. So lots of really exciting things next year. And also, the beauty of this earth and water work we've been doing is that it has really encouraged us to come back to ourselves. And so maybe we've developed some practices that feel really nurturing and soul sustaining, that bring us back to ourselves and help us realign regularly with what it is that we desire and what it is that's true and authentic for us, so that we can align our minds with that truth, with those desires. And really rapid change happens with Uranus and Gemini when our authenticity is aligned with our mindsets. So anyways, it's a very, very exciting time, a very exciting energy. And kind of coming back one more time to this whole idea of kind of holding space for multiple truths, holding space for more polarity, especially between the masculine and feminine, but between any perceived polarities that we've been holding. Uranus and Gemini is such a great time for kind of shaking up some of these perspectives, some of these polarities we've been holding. Uranus and Gemini says, can both things be true though? Can both things be equally true at the same time? Can we hold space for multiple truths? And that's kind of a very heart expanding and mind expanding way to walk through life and to walk through this next year. So very, very exciting times with Uranus re-entering Gemini, with Sedna there offering these shifts in consciousness, with all of the support from the Pluto in Aquarius, Saturn and Neptune in Aries. It's really an era defining moment for us. And so yeah, if it feels big, like something really big is building, that's because it is.
Yeah, it sounds like that. And there will be so many parts of the year that will feel different. And yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting. And just finally, when I drew a card while you were speaking on about these major shifts, the Ancestral card came up. And that also ties together and reminds us like to merge that ancestral wisdom into the future, and we're like the midpoint between that. I connect with the strength and wisdom of my ancestors. So I really love that for all of us to also like reconnect and with our soul lineage and our physical DNA lineage as well. To we're not doing this alone, we'll have that infused in us.
And I love that you brought that up, because the next planet that I was going to speak to was Jupiter in Cancer. And Jupiter in Cancer really is saying there's so much abundance in working with our ancestors and our lineage and our heritage. Jupiter will be in Cancer until June 29th of 2026. And as it concludes its journey through Cancer, this is such a powerful time for pilgrimages and, physically returning to the places that hold so much meaning for our souls, maybe for our families, the cultures that our ancestors come from, reconnecting with those places. Such a beautiful way of reconnecting, not only with the land, especially if we sometimes feel a little bit displaced wherever we're living now, but also a really beautiful way of kind of coming home to ourselves and recentering in, again, our inner home, so that we feel that sense of safety and protection with our ancestors guiding us, and with our family, our biological or soul family, and so on as we charge forward. It's really difficult to just be in that Aries energy of courage and facing fears and failing all the time. We need support, we need love, we need nurturance. And so that Jupiter and Cancer energy really offers that. And then as it moves into Leo on, again, the 29th of June, we're moving into more of this era of, as Chiron brought up earlier, joy, laughter, leaning into more playfulness. This is a really beautiful time for creative self-expression as well, and growth and abundance through that. Leo is also a risk taker, so some growth, abundance through taking some risks. All of these things are a really big part of working with Jupiter and Leo. And then towards the end of the year, we do have the North and South nodes next summer moving into Aquarius for the North node, and Leo for the South node, kind of the karmic energy. And Jupiter and the South node in Leo will be coming together towards the end of 2026. Again, questioning some of the old beliefs that we hold, especially ones that are a bit more egocentric in nature, and allowing ourselves to heal some of those beliefs so we can embrace more of our authentic, true selves, that Aquarian energy. When it comes to Cancer moving into Leo, again, our ancestors, they went through some tough times so that we could experience joy and laugh and experience more lightness in this lifetime. They're probably looking at us right now thinking, man, like we had all of those wars, we had all of those, times of lack, so that these generations could experience more of that Leonine joy. And why not embrace the beauty and abundance of this life that we have, of everything we have access to these days. There's a lot of suffering in the world still, but there's also so many things that have made our lives a bit better, sometimes worse, sometimes better. And so again, that Cancer energy, and maybe we can lean into some of the wisdom of our ancestors and say, you know what? That way of life, maybe it was simpler, but it was actually more joyous, and lean into that as Jupiter moves into Leo. But also saying, okay, like my ancestors, I'm standing on the shoulders of so many ancestors to be where I am today. So let's celebrate that too. So anyways, there's lots of really cool and exciting energy there. And since I touched on the North Node, I'll just share that briefly. The North Node, which kind of points in the direction of our greatest kind of evolutionary, soul-oriented growth opportunity, is going to be moving into Aquarius at the end of July and going into mid-August, depending on if you work with the true North Node or the mean North Node. But by the end of August, the North Node will be solidly in Aquarius, and then the South Node will be always opposing the North Node in Leo at that point. We're working with another kind of transition right now of water and earth, the North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo, into this axis of air, North Node in Aquarius, and fire, South Node in Leo. So many transitions into this axis of more of these yang masculine signs next year. But what this really looks like is we're currently working with this energy of spiritual centering, healing, forgiveness, leaning into deeper compassion for ourselves and for others, allowing for more flow to enter our lives, allowing for more imagination, intuition to really lead and guide us, so that when Aquarius energy comes in and we're ready to align ourselves with the communities, the groups, the kindred spirits, the soul tribes that can help us bring our Piscean dreams and visions to fruition, we're ready for that. We know who we are. We know how we can best work with and align ourselves with others in order to bring, again, these ideas into action, into the world. South Node in Virgo moving into Leo. Right now, we're healing a lot of wounds to our worthiness, our sense of equality, our sense of goodness. Virgo has this wound in its shadow nature of being imperfect and impure and not good enough. And as we move into the South Node in Leo, in order to have a healthy and healed ego, which is kind of Leo energy, we really need to move through some of these wounds first, of not seeing ourselves as enough, of not measuring up, of feeling unequal, of feeling unworthy, because that's where some of our biggest ego issues really arise from, is if we don't feel good enough. A healthy and healed ego feels like it can shine and be seen and be celebrated for exactly who and what it is. And so we're really working through some of these Virgoan wounds before we move into that Leo energy. And yeah, so that's some of the final big energies that we're really working with next year. Yeah, I'd love to hear your reflections on that, Chiron.
No, I feel like there's like these big themes of creating, because I feel like this year has been some type of the yin energy goes in and down and descends, and then now there's some type of rebalancing and integration before we also can move forward, but that it's really gonna, I mean, there's a lot of themes and it will all make sense at the end of the year, but I feel like we have so much. And I love with astrology to understand the monthly energy as we are moving into it. So I think it's going to be really fun to look into that and for us to share more in the upcoming time as well. And yeah, I want to thank you so much for sharing all of that, because it's a lot of information. And I think I would definitely recommend to come back to the episode at least a couple of more times throughout the year, just to be reminded of what's going on. And I had to draw yet another card. It's another spiritual healing card, and it's in prayer. I commune with the universe as my dearest friend. So if it's card number 44. So having a spiritual practice that feels aligned and having consistency in that, to connect with all of the layers of the body and the planets that connect with all of our layers, I think is my recommendation. So Diana, how can people find you if they wanna? I mean, Diana does these very beautiful astrological readings of different types. I really recommend that for those who want to learn more and to understand how your specific birth chart also relates to the upcoming year.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do readings for folks. My business is the Celestial Seed, and so you can find my website. You can, check me out on social media. I try and share content there fairly regularly, mostly on Instagram, but I'm working on getting better with Facebook and some of the other media platforms. And yeah, and I'm also going to be relaunching my podcast. Definitely continue to listen to Chiron's because it's just amazing. But I'm going to try and share a little bit more content there next year, and just kind of be more on top of sharing kind of what's going on astrologically as well there. And that's also just going to be the Celestial Seed, so you can check that out too. But yeah, I do, readings over Zoom. I work with clients around the world, which has been really fun. And I'm all booked out for December, but would absolutely love to start working with folks in January and February as we head into some of these really big celestial events. So yeah, feel free to reach out. And just for folks who are maybe newer to astrology, my work is very soul-centered and very focused on the evolution of the soul. So it's not so much about predicting things that are going to happen specifically. It's not fatalistic in nature, which can sometimes be a little intimidating for some folks. It's really more about how we can work with the planetary, the sign, the elemental energies, and so on, in order to continue growing and evolving. It's all about potentials more so than kind of specific events and things like that. So yeah, that's the nature of my work, and I'd love to connect with some of you.
Yeah, and I link your website and everything in the show notes. So thank you so much for sharing, and I'm looking forward to this new year.
Me too. Thank you so much again for having me on, Chiron. This is just, you've created something so beautiful and magical and special here, and I always feel so honored when you make me a part of it.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you to everyone who's listened today.
Yes, thank you.